is Keffiyehs. Keffiyehs is an organizer with no agenda for apartheid, the Microsoft chapter for the No Tech for Apartheid campaign. Keffiyehs was fired from Microsoft for speaking up against their contracts with the Israeli military and government. Shame! Yet she continues to organize with the campaign to put an end to Microsoft and big tech's complicity to what is happening to our people. Give it up for Keffiyehs!
Glory to our martyrs and victory to the resistance. My name is Keffiyehs, and I'm an organizer with No Agenda for Apartheid, which is a campaign led by current and fired Microsoft employees demanding an end to Microsoft's contract with the Israeli military. First of all, I'd like to start by grounding us in the increased urgency of escalating for Gaza, especially as the past 3 days and 3 nights have been some of the most horrific in Gaza since 2023. And today, Israel launched one of its most intense ground invasions in the history of Palestine. Shame. If you scrolled on social media last night, you'd find hundreds of goodbye messages from our beloved in Gaza. Children and adults alike have been collapsing to their deaths from hunger, and bombs have been showering from the sky every single hour. And Israel continues to intensely target hospitals and journalists in their butcheries. Shame. So when we say the Nakba is ongoing, it is not some empty phrase. Because just yesterday alone, over 20,000 Palestinians were displaced again due to the heavy bombing in the north of Gaza. Shame. So in the wake of this exhausting and painful week for our Palestinian brothers and sisters, I'm here to ask one thing of all of us here in North America. Whether this is your first ever protest or your 83rd protest since 2023, let right now be a moment where you pledge and you commit to doing more than you ever have for Palestine. Take a pledge with yourself or with your loved ones around you right now to escalate and mobilize more and sacrifice more for this cause. Because bluntly, while Gazans continue to endure mass starvation and violent murder and displacement, none of us can afford to say that we've done the minimum or we've done enough. And none of us can afford to take a step back and request a break. And we've been seeing incremental, smaller wins as we mobilize. And no change is going to come from attending 4 or 5 protests and going back to compartmentalizing this genocide. We as Canadians and Americans must draw strength and inspiration from Palestinians who have spent nearly an entire century resisting, and we have not become any less steadfast and any less resilient in their resistance. On the line, and the literal lives of their families on the line to resist. Who are we to say that we are hopeless in our comfortable society? Who are we to say that we are sacrificing too much? Because whether it be your free time, or your friendships, or your comfort, your job, in the words of journalist Abu Bakr Abid, it is worth sacrificing everything you have for Gaza right now. And let's be clear, nothing we put on the line will equate a milligram of what our people resisting in Palestine have been putting on the line. And one more thing to remember is our governments in North America are directly powering and enabling these massacres. And that unfortunately renders us complicit by our mere existence in this continent where we pay for their salaries. So mobilizing for Gaza isn't some optional, kind-hearted thing to do. It is our moral obligation and our civic duty for as long as we continue to give them our money. And as I mentioned, we've been seeing incremental wins from our loud protests. For example, just last month, MPs in the very complicit Liberal Party have caved under pressure and endorsed the Vote Palestine platform. Another example just this week, from 2 days ago, is Microsoft, which is the #1 cloud and AI provider for the Israeli military, has issued its first ever statement where it admits to providing services to the Israeli military. This progress to just pat ourselves on the back, but rather, free Palestine! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the sea to the river! Palestine will live forever! Palestine will live forever! Thank you to Ittihad for that powerful speech and for reminding us why we must continue strong. For reminding us that it is up to us, every single one of us, to make sacrifices as our people in Gaza have been doing for years. What we just heard is a clear reminder that every corporation, big or small, that is profiting off the destruction of our people must be held accountable. Whether it's Microsoft building AI surveillance to surveil and intimidate our people, or whether it's Google helping Israel map and maintain the infrastructure of our land, all of these companies must be held accountable. They are all complicit, but it is not limited to them. That is why we are organizing right now against First to shut down First. Plays a central role in sustaining Israel's war machine. They guarantee the steady flow of weapons to occupied land, to murder and surveil our people daily. Maersk is a lifeline for this genocide, and them and every single company will be held accountable. This is our people's arms embargo, and we will show up, because if our governments won't stop harming them, we will.
Palestine!